Good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of On the Hunt with Alpine Optics. I'm your host, Rick White. And on tonight's show, a good friend of mine is our guest all the way from Florida. We're going to be talking some Florida turkey hunting amongst lots of other things. So sit back, relax, don't go anywhere, and we'll be back in just a few.
Well, we were thinking we were going to have Rick. Where did he go?
Yeah, are we on live?
We were.
All right, are we on? All right. Well, I these technical difficulties. I'm down here in South Georgia, and let me step back a little bit. Welcome to tonight's show on the Hunt with Alpine Optics, and I'm down here in South Georgia, and someone just tried to call my phone, and whenever that happens, it knocks me right off. And so, anyways, I apologize for that. But good thing we got Paul back in Arkansas in the studio that was able to pass a little time away. But anyway, tonight's guest is a good friend of mine. We've worked together for many years throughout the time here, and he's from Mulberry, Florida, down in Osceola country. Mr. William Sullivan. William, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I was down just a week and a half ago. Florida season opened up, at least my zone opened up on the 19th. I think that's when you probably started. And we've been sharing some photos and things, and I know Paul has a few, but you had some really good hunts right out of the gate, I believe. But before we get into that, being new on the show, because you haven't done the show before, fill in the folks just a little bit about yourself.
Well, just an avid outdoorsman, avid turkey hunter. I've worked with you on pro staffs and things like that for quite a while. By trade, I'm actually an electronic technician, but just love doing a lot of guiding. I do a lot of guiding in Florida, and this turkey hunting is pretty much my passion.
Well, your whole family is into hunting. I know you have a son and a daughter, and of course a wife, and I believe they all hunt, if I'm not mistaken.
They all hunt. My wife turkey hunts with me. My son and daughter turkey hunt with me. Now we don't get the opportunity to do that together as much as we used to. I did hunt with my son and daughter one day the past week, but didn't have any luck. But we had a great time, and it's good just getting out there with them because it's getting more infrequent, unfortunately.
Right. Now I know your son he guides turkey hunts, I think. I believe so. Anybody that's watching tonight, what we're going to be talking about, and the turkeys that we're hunting down in Florida are Osceolas, and there's 4 subspecies of turkeys in the United States. Florida is one of the states that has one all to themselves, and that's the Osceola. So just about anybody really can come down and hunt Osceolas. I mean, first of all, there's lots of WMA ground, which is public ground, but right. My suggestion, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit, if you're going to spend the money and time to come down, I want to know that I'm going to a great spot. So, booking a hunt with a good outfitter, someone similar to like who your son's working for, because they've had some great luck. I saw some of the photos.
My son's actually working for himself. So
there you go. And feel free to plug him too. So if someone's looking for a hunt, that they could contact him. But go with a good outfitter, not just any outfitter, but go with a good outfitter, because if you've got to come down and you don't have a great hunt right, the first year, by the time you're coming down the second time, you might as well have just spent good money right up front and had a great hunt. Well, I think
Osceola turkeys have become a cash crop for the landowners and that type of thing. So everybody's trying to get in on it. Some people have some decent access and they might have a few birds, but they haven't done their homework, and they really haven't got what they say they have. That happens, unfortunately, more than I'd like to admit. But like my son, he's got a little small piece of property, and I do mean small. It's like 100 acres, but they're 4 for 4, and he's got more birds. He's going to keep his hunts to a minimum. He's only going to run 6 hunters this year, and but I mean he had groups of 17 gobblers. So
okay. Now, what's the average cost of an Osceola hunt in your area?
Well, average cost, it'll be in the vicinity of $2,000. That would be the average. That's hunters. His aren't. They have lodging, but he's not supplying food and that type of thing. But he is guiding. But his are only $1,500, and that's why he's sold out within 3 days of advertising it. So he booked rather quickly, because most places, if you go down further south, and I'm not knocking these guys, but most of them are getting up in the $2,500 to $2,800 range, and some of those places are phenomenal. I've got several friends that are in the industry, but a lot of people can't spend that kind of money. Now there is good public land, but the best way to plan for hunting public land is to start a little bit more than a year ahead. You want to put in for some of the draws. A lot of the public management areas have quotas, and you can go on the FWC website and put in for them ahead of time. And if you get drawn, you get some better access. A lot of the places are, for the first 9 days, you have to have a quota plan. Now, right. There's also special opportunity hunts, they call them, where you can apply. You have to pay an application fee. They're usually a better quality hunt. They keep the numbers at a minimum. Say like Green Swamp West, I think it's 33,000 acres. They allow 18 hunters in there at a time in 33,000 acres. And they divide those up into 3 different groups, or 18, something like that. 18, 19 hunters is all they allow in there. Keep the pressure down, keep the quality of the hunt. You apply for it, and then there's a fee, which is usually, I think it's about $175, depending on which special opportunity hunt you put in for. And then there's other places. There's like the Avon Park Bombing Range. It's one of my favorite places. You apply for it. You have to take a safety briefing online. Used to, you actually had to go down to the bombing range to take your safety briefing, but they've changed that. It has a real good turkey population. It's 100,000 acres. 20,000 of that is a live bombing range, so you can't hunt the live bombing.
Really, there's lots of opportunity for non-residents to come down and hunt Florida. And I listen. If you're a turkey
if you plan
hunter,
ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're a turkey hunter, you should really think about coming down to Florida. It's beautiful down here, and the turkey hunting is I'm not going to say it's easy, because it can be very tough. In fact, it could probably be one of the toughest hunts you'll do, but it also can be like other hunts where it's easy.
I've had 15-minute hunts. I've had hunts that last me several hours before I tagged out.
All I can say is that it's very difficult to hunt when someone's trying to bomb your,
I tell you what,
tent.
You don't know what cool is until you're walking in the woods in the morning before daylight, and the jets are running their targets, and they're flying real low, and they're going over the treetops, and you know what a jet sounds like, and the birds are gobbling. It's really cool.
Right. So what would you say, William? I know you've hunted turkeys in a lot of places like myself. And what do you think are some of the bigger differences between hunting, say, Osceolas and other turkeys? Do you see some differences?
Yeah. The difference stands out the most. And it's not necessarily a difference in the turkey itself, but when you say you're in Georgia or in some area that's got some mountains, that type of thing, And you can hear those birds. When I hunt in West Virginia, I can hear those birds gobble from one mountainside to another and that type of thing. Down here, I mean, and it's, you can hear a bird for half a mile down, up in West Virginia or whatever. But when you come down here, if you hear a good gobble, he's not 100 yards away. You're close. Sit down. And that's what the biggest problem I have is people come down here and they bump birds because they think that he's farther off than he is. And the reason for that is the humidity and the foliage. It's all greened up and it's always 90% humidity 9 times out of 10. It absorbs the sound. And so that gobbler, maybe 60 yards away and you think he's 150 to 200 compared to what you're used to just by the volume, and you bump him. So if you get it down here and you hear a good gobble, sit down.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing. I mean, for years, the hammocks down there and the dense timber and with the humidity, and they always, that's something I had to learn. They always sound a lot further away than what they are. In fact, you might think that you definitely have to move. I can barely hear them, and I got to get a lot closer. You don't have to get much closer, I can tell you that, because, you're not hitting a turkey that's 300 yards away. You're probably not even hearing that turkey, No,
you're not. I've been on one side of a cypress.
Did I lose him?
Yeah, he's kind of broke up there.
He's gobbling. I can't hear him. Even if
you might want to. Are you there, William?
Just because all the dense brush in between us, and even the wind, that kind of thing makes a difference too.
Right.
But,
right.
Yeah,
so
I'm anything you get from anything we talk about.
I'm out at the property up in the woods at my girlfriend's house, and I hear the turkey. Of course, I'm up on top of the ridge. They're probably down in the valley. So are you saying that if I can hear them, they're within, 150 yards?
No, not in Arkansas. No, they could be half a mile away.
Oh, okay.
But in Florida,
I'm glad I asked.
And Georgia, when you're hunting the swamps and you've got that dense cover and the humidity, the sound does not travel very far at all.
It's muffled considerably.
Yeah. Now you do some hunts with some veterans, I believe, and you've got one coming up, I think, this weekend.
Got one coming up this weekend. It's the Black Dagger Military Hunt Club, and what that is wounded Special Forces veterans from SOCOM, Southern Command, out of Tampa, and then they bring some other ones in from other places too. But they're some pretty neat guys. Special Forces guys are they're on the ball to begin with, but they've got some injuries and they're using the woods to heal and enjoy themselves. So it's a pleasure to take them.
That's great. That's a lot of fun doing that. So you're going to miss opening weekend here in Georgia?
To guide those guys, yeah.
Yeah, well,
it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's worth it.
And, I myself had great hunts down in Florida and tagged out, and I actually came up to Georgia a few days earlier than what I was planning on, just to go out and do some extra scouting and that kind of thing. And, I went out this morning and I did not hear a turkey gobble on the roost. And some people would say, oh my gosh, if that happened back home, you don't have turkeys. But down here in these swamps, I mean, I know last year I hunted for, I think, 8 days. And 4 of those days, I never even heard a turkey gobble. So, I mean, that's more normal down here. And I'm sure you see that as well, don't you, William?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've seen the birds. I mean, we've had, if we're using cameras and that type of thing, I've seen birds fly up or right before they fly up on camera and go back to the same spot the next morning, not a peep. And that's like, they didn't go anywhere, but they're not vocal. And one of the other things that people do down here in Florida, they sometimes they get a little too loud, and when they call and that kind of thing, it's okay. A lot of people like to let them know you're there, but they can hear you. Don't
Lori Smith says, "Thank you, William, for taking the veterans out to hunt these birds. wonderful that you do that.
You're welcome. I enjoy it. I probably get more out of it than they do. Trust me. Even if they kill a turkey, I enjoy it immensely.
So Jason,
I hunted with William last year in Florida, and we came up on.
That was a strange turkey you killed.
What's that? Yeah,
the strange looking turkey you killed.
Yeah, one of the commodities
like
that they have down there are
like
wild hogs, and I shot a hog when I was out turkey hunting, and I brought it home, boned it out, made breakfast sausage, and it's as good as any store-bought breakfast sausage I've ever had. I mean, it is fantastic.
Jason Buell, he says, what do you guys think of the TSS shot shells? I think they are way too high in price. I have taken turkeys with 3-inch 12-gauge number 5 for many years. It seems just a reinvent the wheel. That's what he meant to type. For more money. I don't see giving that much money for the TSS. What's your take?
Well, William, go ahead with your thoughts, and then I'll tell you what mine are.
TSS, they pattern very well. You can get some extended range out of them, and they have good downrange energy that you don't necessarily get with lead or copper plated. But I can kill them all day long with number 5s. Copper plate number 5s or number 6s. I used Winchester extended range, not extended range, but Longbeards for quite a while. I've used TSS. The only negative I've got with it, besides the price, would be if that bird's less than 10 yards, between 15 and 5 yards, you're basically shooting a bullet. So you've really got to be on them, or you'll miss. I've had friends that missed because they were too close and they really didn't have much of a pattern at that range. Between 5 and 10 yards, they didn't have much of a pattern.
Don't take that shot to the social club like the Moose Lodge when they do their turkey shoots. Or do take that. I guess you do take that.
Yeah, if you're looking for a great pattern, sure. I mean,
that's kind of cheating at that point.
Do you have to spend that money to get a good pattern? No.
Yeah. Well, so here's first of all, make sure that you know that the choke that you're shooting in your gun will accept that TSS shot, because it is very hard shot and very constricted chokes. It can damage your gun, but again, check that. But I have actually shot my first turkey with a TSS just last week, just because my fellow pro staff member Mike McDonald I hunted with brought some down. Now I went into a store today and I saw a TSS shot, box of 5 here in South Georgia, was $70. I couldn't believe it.
No,
I'm like yourself, William. I've been shooting Winchester Supreme number 6s copper coated for years. If you will just in your mind know that you want to shoot turkeys, I would say 40 yards and in, but let's go 30 yards and in. Okay. I like to, in fact, most of the turkeys I shoot are within 20 yards, but if you'll limit yourself to 30, maybe 40 yards max, I don't know. I have a problem throwing $15 shells at a turkey when it's 15 yards in front of me, when that $1.50 shell could have done the same job. That gets expensive, but the TSS will give you more range. It gives you a smaller shot that gives you the kinetic energy of bigger shots. So it is kind of a neat shot.
8 9s hit like a 5.
That's right. But don't just think that you can shoot turkeys at 70 yards, because I certainly don't recommend that.
I don't know much about TSS, so it's a composite material.
It's tungsten basically, or
tungsten super shot.
So you can use it for like duck hunting as well.
Yes, you can, and they do have companies out there that make a specific duck hunting load, and it's pretty deadly. But it's pretty expensive.
So the answer to the gentleman's question was, shoot whatever you want to shoot. Shoot whatever pattern's best in your gun. Do you have to shoot TSS? Absolutely not. Is it a good load if you decide to? Absolutely it is. So it's it's up to you.
So do you think it would just rip through a little duck at 20 yards?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be pretty.
I don't know if
damaging.
I'd want to use it on the duck.
Well, but how many shots for ducks do you get at 20 yards?
Most.
Yeah, very
mostly.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most
very
of
few.
them, actually.
Looking at
10 to 20.
40 yards.
Yeah, most duck hunters are probably shooting at 35 and 50 yards, probably, at ducks.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm a better duck caller than I thought I was.
I had a buddy that used the TSS down in Arkansas this year on ducks, and he
pattern's better than steel.
told us, oh yeah, there's not much that doesn't pattern better than steel, but, and it's non-toxic, so that's the whole point behind that.
Well, you got to keep it out of the water at the ducks because they just give lead poisoning to everything.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, no, it makes
Well, yeah.
I understand all
There's
that.
still lead down in those rice fields, the soybean fields from the 50s and 60s when they were still shooting lead shot. It's still contaminated.
Well, there's other options too. There's bismuth and those type of shells that you can use for waterfowl that's legal. And but there's a little increased price in that too. It's not not as high as TSS, but it's higher price.
So
sorry, I didn't mean to derail you with the ducks.
Yeah, duck season's in the fall. We don't need to talk duck hunting right now.
Rick and I have a different set of birds that we hunt. He hunts turkeys, I hunt ducks, and
I used to duck hunt a lot over the years, and I don't know, it wasn't too much of a challenge for me, so I didn't. I don't know, and I don't have time in the fall on deer hunting, and I just don't have time for the waterfowl. But hey, William,
I don't get to waterfowl hunt much.
Yep. What would be one of your favorite ways to cook and prepare wild turkey?
Wild turkey, well, it's hard to beat the old standard where you just cube them up and then batter them and put an egg, so put them in an egg wash and then put some batter on it and just pan fry them or deep fry them. That's hard to beat. Just turkey nuggets, basically. I've got friends that can cook them up, just like you do a regular turkey, and they do it well. I don't have the time and the patience to do it.
What were you cutting up last night? You were cutting something up, you said.
The alligator.
Yeah.
We're having a wild game dinner on Saturday night, and we legally attained an alligator, and so we had to clean that.
They're good eating, though. I like alligator.
Oh yeah, it tastes good. Yeah, and then you do the same thing. I mean, you batter it and fry it, and it's delicious.
Yeah, I don't know why everything that tastes good is technically bad for you.
That
it seems like. So, so when
alligator's mostly bad for you when they're still alive.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
I meant to send you a picture. That with that when I was out last week down in Yeehaw, where we're going to hunt this week, and where we killed a turkey was laying a 10-foot alligator in what they call a slime pond, and he was just, he had that green slime across the pond, and he had come out of the water and had that green slime across him. So that was pretty neat looking. But I certainly wouldn't have wanted to shoot one in front of him because you'd be chasing him to get your bird. But
right now, how's your deer hunting in your area? I know we're talking turkey and it's turkey season, but Florida isn't probably a sought after state for non-residents to go to, but the deer hunting's pretty good.
Well, and it's very similar to any place else. You let them go, let them grow. I've known places in South Florida where it's not uncommon to kill a 140-inch deer. Now, the body weights on that buck is 150 pounds, that type of thing, because they're just not as big. The further south you go, the smaller bodies, and that's further north you go, the bigger bodies, and that's because of the heat retention and the cold weather and whatnot. But you can get the big racks if you supplemental feed and that type of thing, and you let the little ones grow and go from there.
But you also have what I would call a mature deer, say at the age of 3.5, 4.5, that might score 110, 120 inches.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the trophy's also, always in the eyes of the beholder. And, I'm a hunter that I'm not a trophy deer hunter. I like to shoot deer of age, and try to manage certain properties. But I come down to South Georgia and hunt and in the fall during muzzleloader season. And I have to set my, sights on a smaller deer, score wise. We just try to pick out the age, but that deer might score 110 inches, but it's a good deer in the swamps of Georgia.
Yep. I'm not exactly in the swamp. I'm a little further north of where you guys are in Georgia, where I hunt in Georgia. And we've killed above 140, between 140 and 160 inch deer there. But I'd say average is going to be 110, 120 for a decent 8-point. And then they would get bigger if we let them go. So,
yeah. So how's your fishing right now? You been out doing any fishing at all? Or?
I don't fish much at all, Rick. I've never been much of a fisher. I grew up in Charlotte Harbor on the coast, and my dad and I, all we ever did was quail hunt growing up, and I never fished much. So I like tarpon fishing, or going with a guide. That matter of fact, for my 25th anniversary last year.
You're losing Paul.
And went fishing. So that.
He's lagging.
Yeah, there he's back. Well, I was just down. One of my favorite sandwiches while I'm down in Florida is a grouper sandwich. I like fish sandwiches in general, but there is not a better sandwich than I eat when it comes to a fish sandwich other than a grouper sandwich. It is fabulous. And you know what? The other thing, William, I get a lot of grief for. I'm not a big grits guy, okay? You guys love your grits. I understand that. Well, I ordered grits the other day, and I put sugar on them. And they looked at me like I had 3 eyes growing out of my forehead.
Sacrilegious.
But that's the only way I can eat them.
Well, let me tell you something about this hunt that's coming up next week. You know who I'm hunting with, and his camp. And they have ordered for these guys 24 live Maine lobster to be shipped in fresh for Saturday night's meal. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Well, when I hunted with you guys last year, that's one thing he did not lack. We had the greatest food. I mean, that's the biggest reason I want to maybe come back next year. I'll have to get a hold of him and see if I can work that out. But no, that's great. Or even just come in and help guide would be fun too. So how are we doing on time, Paul?
Well, it's now 6:29.
6:29. Okay. Well, William, that went fast. I hope you guys have some luck this weekend. And
hey, we were almost not here today. We had a big tornado in Springdale, Arkansas, where we're at.
I heard that. I did hear that, and I heard one of the employees there, Ryan. One went real close to his house. Is that right?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to Ryan today. My parents lived 250 yards away from where it was.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's that time of year, especially in Arkansas.
It's been over 50 years since we had a tornado last.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, William, good luck this weekend. Let us know how you do.
Same to you.
And I'll be talking to you. I appreciate you doing the show. We'll get you on again sometime and maybe after turkey season, and we can kind of follow up with some of the things you talked about. But anyways, I'm going to go get something for dinner. I'm hungry. I'm going to get up in the morning and do some more scouting. So, William, we'll talk to you later. And folks that are watching, we appreciate you coming along with us once again tonight. Make sure you check us out next Wednesday, 6 to 6:30 Central Time, and I might have a report on how things are going here in Georgia. But we'll see you next Wednesday, 6 to 6:30 on The Hunt with Alpine Optics. Good night, everybody.
Good night.